Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got an incredibly powerful Omega level power level commander for you. Omega level power level, I said that wrong. Regardless, let's keep going. On this episode, I've got an exciting commander deck for you. So with all that said, before I mess up further, let's jump into the commander. And the commander for this deck tech is Sovereign Okinec Ahau. I hope I said that right. I've already made so many mistakes. Let's jump into it. A 3/4 cat noble with ward 2 that costs 2 green and a white. So a Selesnya commander. That's what we've got here. Whenever it attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of +1 counters on that creature equal to the difference. So, first up, I just actually love this art version of the card, number 1. Number 2, it is actually the cheaper version of this card. At $2 right now, this actually makes up like a tenth of our budget, which is around $20 or so according to Moxfield. So yeah, a very budget-friendly deck, and one that can be incredibly powerful because this commander, although that text is somewhat confusing in a way, but basically, like, let's just say you've got a 1/1, a base power toughness 1/1 creature. Your base power is 1. If you've got any kind of an anthem in play or any kind of a modification on the creature, like a +1 counter or an equipment on them, essentially to raise that power, let's say 2/3 power, okay? +2/+0 of some sort, okay? So we've got 3 power. Then we attack. That creature is going to then get 2 extra counters on there because 3 - 1, the difference is 2. So now all of a sudden, that creature that was a 1/1 is now 5 power. So yeah, this can get out of control, especially since that builds again and again and again each time we do that. Yeah, next time it'll be an extra 4 counters, and then pretty crazy. So yes, this commander is incredibly powerful. It is kind of wordy and kind of like the first time you're like, okay, like, what does this do? Yeah, this basically just kind of nearly doubles up your creature's power every single turn. So yeah, quite powerful. Ward 2 to protect it as well. You can do some crazy things with this, even on a very small budget again. So yes, if you are interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. With all that said, let's see how this deck works by jumping into the tactics. And first up, let's start with attack number 1. This is the Anthem. Throw all your hands up. Anyways, Intangible Virtue, an enchantment for 1 and a white. Creature tokens you control get +1 and have Vigilance. So basically, an incredible Anthem. Yes, a bit specific, okay? Just our creature tokens, but believe me, we've got an absurd amount of creature tokens with this deck. So we're going to be able to make an absurd amount. And again, just a simple Anthem like this means that, hey, all those creature tokens, which again have whatever base power they have, are going to have more than their base power because they each get a slight boost. So even just with this, it can start the ball rolling, get those counters on those creatures when we attack, and then all of a sudden, doing more and more and more. And also, again, with Vigilance, hey, we can keep it back for blocking as well. What's not to love about that? Next up, Guy's Anthem. Very simple, very effective 3-mana Anthem. All of our creatures, not just creature tokens, get +1. Then we've got Glorious Anthem, the exact same thing, but in white. In the Trenches, exact same thing as well, but on top of that, pay 5 and a white, exile target non-land permanent you don't control until it sees the battlefield, activate a sorcery and only 1. So basically, hey, an Anthem that also is like some temporary removal or even permanent removal if your opponent doesn't get rid of this. Then there's Wild Beastmaster, a really funny Anthem on attack. 1/1 Human Shaman for 3 mana, attacks each other creature control, gets +X/+X until a turn where X is Wild Beastmaster's power. Here's the thing. Again, initially that's just going to be 1, which still is nice, right? That can still help you out. But again, we're going to be running an absurd amount of anthems in this deck. We're going to be running an absurd amount of ways to get counters on this, including our commander. So the more and more and more this creature's power builds, the more and more and more that pumps all of our other creatures, and the more and more counters we're going to be getting on those creatures. This can really build up to absurd effects. Then there's Dictative Heliod. Flash it in. Creature control at +2/+2, so that can be absolutely huge. And again, a way to say, let's just boost the power even more. Let's get things going even faster, and let's get more and more counters on those creatures. Draconic Discord is another great one as well. A 1/4 Dryad for 5 mana. Other creatures get +1, so again, a nice Anthem effect there. Enters the battlefield, you get 2 1/1 soldiers with lifelink, so that's nice too, again, which already, again, have base power and toughness 1/1. Get that +1/+1 to get to 2, and again, are already set up to do that. On top of that, beginning of your end step, each player gains 12 of creatures they control. Sorry, they own, I should say. So opponents are stealing things, you get them back. Everyone gets them back. Let's all play with their own creatures because I'm going to have the best ones. Next up, let's move on to attack number 2. Count on it. And first up, we've got Good Fortune Unicorn, a 2/2 unicorn for just 3 mana. Whenever the creature enters the battlefield under control, you get a counter on that creature. This is huge because it sets things up to succeed. Once those creatures get into play again, their power and toughness is already modified. So then all of a sudden our commander's like, oh yeah, you got a better base power, or better than your power than your base power. So you're good to go. Yeah, it's a confusing card, but it works. So basically a way to say, you know what, let's get the ball rolling. Next up, Master Chef. This one, our commander can actually help out. Commander creatures you don't have, this creature's about additional counter on it. Lovely. Other creatures you control enter with additional counter on them. So again, a way to set yourself up to get things going. Forgotten Ancient, an absurdly cool card. Whenever a player casts a spell, not just you, not just your opponents, any player, get a counter on this. Whenever upkeep, you can disperse those counters however you want among your creatures. Then there's Renata, Called to the Hunt. Power equal devotion to green, so this can hit for a good amount. On top of that, each other creature you control enters the battlefield with additional counter on it. So yeah, a way to set yourself up for victory. Juniper Ranger, very similar, but this one says whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you not only get a creature or a counter on that creature, but also a counter on this too, so it modifies itself. Loyal Guardian. Lieutenant, at the beginning of combat your turn, if you control your commander, get a counter on each creature you control. So again, just automatically saying, yeah, all these other creatures are modified, and also, yeah, they're going to get larger and larger and larger throughout the game. Then there's Victory's Envoy, very similar, but at the beginning of your upkeep, you get a counter on each other creature you control. So again, upkeep, not on combat. Then there's Primeval Protector. This one's going to cost once cast for each creature your opponents control. So, yeah, this 10/10 is probably just going to cost a single green mana to actually cast. Enters the battlefield. On top of that, you get a counter on each other creature you control too. So yeah, a huge play for you. Speaking of huge plays, though, let's move on to tactic number 3, the Golden Pig, where we talk about the Golden Pig of this deck, the number 1 card out of our 99, and that card is Felidar Retreat, an enchantment for 3 in a white landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under control, choose 1 2/2 white cat beast creature token, or get a counter on each creature control. They gain vigilance until end of turn. So again, a way to say, hey, we're in green. We've got plenty of great ways to land ramp that we'll get to here in a little bit. And yeah, get those lands into play, make an army, and then also get counters on them and give them vigilance so they can swing out. So actually modifying those creatures, making an army, it does absolutely everything that we want it to do, and that's why it's the Golden Pig of this deck. Moving on, though, of course, we've got other ways to make some other fantastic tokens. So let's move on to tech number 4, Token Appreciation. And first up, Horn of Valhalla, an artifact equipment for just 2 mana. We can actually have it, well, equip a creature. Equip a creature gets +1 for each other creature we control. Yeah, that's going to be an absurd amount. Again, we've got so many ways to make so many creatures, so this is a great way to say, hey, most likely our commander, let's get massive. Let's turn into a 2-shot, maybe even a 1-shot KO on an opponent. On top of that, though, we've got a sorcery, pay X white, create X 1/1 white soldier creature token. So again, another way to just fill the board and yeah, make that other part even better. Next up, Kadira, Call of the Small, a 3/3 trampling orc ranger. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, for each token you control, make a 1/1 rabbit. So again, it can just be a minuscule amount of combat damage. As long as we trample through and get 1 point of combat damage on an opponent, all of a sudden we say, oh, for all those tokens we have, we're making a rabbit. So we can just double up our tokens, quadruple up our tokens, whatever 8 times our tokens is. Octuple? Let's say that. I don't know. Comment below if you know what that is. Anyways, and then being able to just double up and just make sure that we're getting so many tokens in play that our opponents cannot stop the rabbits. The amount of rabbits that we get to play that we can keep growing throughout the game with our anthems that are swinging. This can get absurd. Next up, though, Call the Coppercoats. An out-of-nowhere victory can easily happen with this. Strive cost if you want to choose more than 1 opponent. Create X 1/1 white human soldier creatures or X the number of creatures those opponents control. Yeah, this, again, if your opponents have like 20 creatures in play, you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, at instant speed right before my turn, I'll cast this for 7. All of a sudden get 20 creatures in play. I probably have some anthems in play to make my creatures even larger. Maybe some ways to get counters on them already. And then all of a sudden I swing and I have a giant army that is bigger than all of yours and more, more than all you have. Next up, White Sun Zenith, instant speed again. X/2 white cat creature tokens. Shuffle back into the library so you can recast it again. Rascal on this web. Your opponents can help you out too. Lovely. Thanks, opponents. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, you get a 1/2 spider creature token with reach. So thank you, opponents. I appreciate that. Keep helping me out. Then there's Myriad Angel. Help yourself out with landfall again. Make a 1/1 bird with landfall every single time. Again, we've got green land ramp, so we're going to take advantage of that. Then there's Retreat to Myriad. We can also take advantage of it there. Land enters battlefield under control. Choose 1/1 white core ally creature token or creature control at +1/+1 until end of turn. So again, ways to modify, ways to actually get more and more creatures into play as well. Increasing devotion for 5 mana, we make 5 1/1s. We flash back from our graveyard. We are making 10 instead. So an army all in one card. Maya, Rediguard Protector, an Anthem, and a generator 2. Other creature control ++1, so it's huge. Whenever a land enters battlefield under your control, you get a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, which can be massive as well. Visions of Glory, make a 1/1 human for each creature you control. So again, we've got so many ways to make so many creatures. Now we double it up. And also we can flash it back for 8 white, what's going to cost X less to cast for X star commander's mana value, I should say. And then we can recast it and then just do it again. Rampaging Balos is a crazy good landfall creature. Landfall, whatever land is battlefield control, you make a 4/4 beast. So, yeah, it's already got a good amount of base power and toughness, but we can add to that, of course, and just decimate our opponents. Now let's go on to attack number 5, Power Boost, because, yeah, we can really push things forward very quickly with something like Conclave Mentor. If one or more counters we put on a creature you control, that many +1 are put on instead. On top of that, when this dies, we gain life equal to its power. Very low to the ground, very awesome card that can say, you know what, let's get even more counters on our creatures. Next up, Dust Shell Crawler can take advantage of the counters on creatures, also get one on one of our creatures to get things started, but it says each creature control they counter on it has trample, so again, a great way to get damage through. Amazon Falconer is another great way. Each creature control they counter on it has flying, so a way to get through on most of our opponents. Champion of Lambholt, yeah, basically going to make our creatures unblockable. Creatures with power less than Champion of Lambholt's power can't block creatures you control. It might just be a 1/1, but of course we can grow it throughout the game quite easily. And on top of that, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get a counter on this. Yeah, that can be absolutely massive in absolutely no time. Next up, Clamavus, a 3/3 human Tyranid Artificer. Each creature you control gets +1 for each counter on it. So basically double up the effectiveness of all our +1 counters. Absolutely absurd. But now let's move on to tactic number 6, Drawn to Power, because, yeah, we can utilize our power and our power of a board to take advantage of our creatures and to draw an absurd amount of cards. First up, Hunter's Insight. Choose target creature you control. When that creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker this turn, draw that many cards. Instant speed. One of our creatures get through for like 10 damage. You're like, okay, cool. 3 mana, draw 10 cards. Lovely. Next up, Inspiring Call. Draw a card for each creature control they counter on it. They gain indestructible on turn. Yeah, again, it's very easy for us to get a counter on every single one of our creatures. Basically, it's a board wipe protection spell that also says, hey, draw an absurd amount of cards for just 3 mana. Secret Rendezvous, us and opponent are going to be best buds after this. They draw 3, we draw 3. Then there's your Temples Under Attack. In a very similar way, hey, best buds, right? We each draw 2 instead. Or, hey, if I need to protect my team, I'm sorry, I'm not helping you out right now. My creatures are indestructible. Then there's Armorcraft Judge. ETBs draw a card for each creature control they counter on it. Can be an absurd amount. Harmonize, 4 mana, draw 3. Very solid. Shamanic Revelation for 5 mana. Hey, draw a card for each creature control. That's going to be a ton. And also, hey, if you've got big creatures, which yes, we will, we gain 4 life for each of those creatures with power 4 or greater. Camaraderie, where this is very similar. We're going to gain X life, draw X cards, or X number of creatures you control. And they also get a nice little pump until end of turn as well, +1. Collective Unconscious, slightly expensive for what it does, but still, this is absolutely crazy. Draw a card for each creature you control. With a deck like this, 6 mana, that is well worth it. Next up, let's move on to tactic number 7. Stick around because, yeah, we've already talked about some ways to protect our creatures, but how about this one? Rebor Defense is a fantastic one. Instant for 3 mana. Populate, so again, make another creature. And also, we get to protect our creatures. They get indestructible until end of turn. Unbreakable Formation. Instant for the exact same mana cost. Creatures control get indestructible until end of turn, so another great way to protect them. On top of that, if we cast it during our main phase, we get a counter each of those creatures and they gain Vigilance until end of turn. So again, a way to modify our creatures and also a way to let them swing freely and protect them in combat as well. But now let's move on to tactic number 8, Ramp It Up, because we've got some cards that can help us ramp while also helping us out with other things as well. Catilda Dawnheart Prime, a great card for this deck. 1/1, protection from werewolves, so if you're playing against your opponent's Tovolar deck, congratulations. If not, that's okay too. Human creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors, so yeah, we actually have a decent amount of humans in this deck too, and human creature tokens as well. Regardless though, pay for a green, a white tap, get a counter each creature you control, so yeah, this is a way to essentially say, yeah, let's get the ball rolling. Let's get our creatures modified, let's get them larger. Also works really well with British Pima Renegade. Enters the battlefield, get a counter on up to 2 target creatures. Each creature control they counter on it has tap for a green. So yeah, every single one of our creatures is now going to be a mana dork. Absurd. Fastwood Surge. Kicker for 4. It's basically explosive vegetation with, hey, if you kicked it, you get 2 counters on every single creature you control, so some great modification there. Hamza, Guardian of Ration. This can be an absurd ramp type effect, essentially. More of a reduction effect. It's going to cost 1 less cast for each creature control they counter on it, so we can basically just cast this for green, white most of the time. On top of that, creature spells you cast cost 1 less cast for each creature control they counter on it. So yeah, basically, our creatures are going to cost next to nothing to cast. Yeah, this can get pretty absurd once we get this out. Moving on though, tactic number 9, keep ramping because of course, first up there's Wayfarer's Bauble in this tactic. Pay 2 tap sacrifice, go get a basic land in a play tap. Wild Growth, another great turn 1 play. Enchantment over lands, it taps for additional green. Rampant Growth, the OG ramp card, go get a basic in a play tap for 2 mana. Cultivate, go get 2 basics, 1 goes in a play tap, 1 goes into our hand. Then we've got Harrow, sacrifice 1 land, get 2 basics in a play untapped. Search for another great turn 1 play. Suspend 2 for a single green mana, get a basic in a play untapped. And Springbloom Druid, sacrifice 1 land, basically a Harrow, but they come into play tapped. Those lands come into play tapped. That's okay. We can use them later, but we got that creature right now. Again, even just this 1/1 can become absolutely massive. Again, how fun is it to take your opponents out with like a Springbloom Druid that's like a 20/20? Have fun. And speaking of fun, let's move on to tactic number 10, smash it all, because yeah, we've got some ways to really mess with our opponents and also help our game plan too, like Orientation, destroy target enchantment, and also make X saplings, where X is that enchantment's mana value. So yeah, add to your creature count and also take down an opponent's card. Broken Bond, another great one, destroy target artifact or enchantment and benefit yourself too. Get a land from your hand right on the battlefield. Martial Coup, create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. Generous Gift, destroy a permanent. Yeah, give them an elephant. Here's your 3/3. Yeah, sorry for getting rid of your best card on the board. Or hey, if you want an elephant, do that to yourself. There's Oblation. Speaking of that, the owner target non-mana permanent shuffles in their library, then draws 2 cards. So hey, yeah, I don't like that. I don't never want you to see that again. Can be worth it in some desperate situations. Or also, hey, if you need to draw 2 cards, draw 2 cards if you get one of your own things. Crush Contraband, choose one or both. Exile an artifact, exile enchantment. Usually you're going to get targets for both. Cleansing Nova, depending on situation, choose either one. Destroy creatures, destroy artifacts, and enchantments. Typically, you're probably going to keep the creatures in play, but you know, you never know. Hour of Reckoning, a great one-sided board wipe in a way. Convoke, so you can cast this for basically free by tapping creatures. Destroy all non-token creatures, so your non-token creatures unfortunately goes away, but hey, you can replay those. You got the other creatures. You got those non-token creatures out, and you got all these tokens in play that can wipe out your opponents in absolutely no time. But now this episode is coming to a close. It's time for me to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are on this deck. Again, if you are interested in this commander, in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below and consider picking this one up. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.